to explain how did you already get to Module 1251. Some of you have taken, I see binders, some of you are carrying binders at the Residence Inn from the 1050 series of the curriculum. I'd just like to spend a few moments walking you through the curriculum architecture that exists and the courses therein that are available to you to help you with your job performance. The curriculum is broken down into three major series, the 1000 series, 2000, and 3000 series. The 1000 series is intended to be taken within the first 6 months on the job for product planners, either new to the company or new to the job. You could have come from someplace else in the company. It's a very open menu curriculum. You and your boss sit down and decide what modules are appropriate for you given your different job tasks and functions that you perform. Within this, these are copies of this. You can stick these in the binder here. First of all, there is the 1000 item is a videotape that is about 11 minutes long. We will look at it on the very last day of this course. We don't have time this morning to look at that and talk this through regarding the curriculum and what it is and what its intent is. The first grouping of modules here are on this online system. It's called the IDS system. It's owned and operated by your document development organization, DDO. It is simply a non-interactive computer delivery system. It's a page-turning system, but it's the best way to get this information as up-to-date as possible without having to worry about thousands of pages of paper out there that are out of date and still being handed out. So that's why it's available. If you want printouts of it, they're reluctantly printing out copies of the materials and sending them out as requested. But it is accessible, and you do have the instructions now. Overview of AT&T, the corporate entity. What is it and what is its function in the overall picture here? The various entities within AT&T then, the end user organization. Who are they? What do they do for a living? What are their products, services, customers, markets, all those good kinds of things. Very short module, it says quarter of an hour. That's the assumption of how long it'll take you to read through this. Most of these things are about 15, 20 pages equivalent to actually get through the 20 lines per screen. AT&T Bell Laboratories, who are they? Of course, a lot of reorganization has happened just recently, and so this module is probably not quite up to date. These modules are all being updated 3 times a year, so the cycle will come around soon. Network systems, including the microelectronics group that now reports into network systems, AT&T Technology Systems, and AT&T International. These are the major, often called lines of business. Sometimes transmission or switching or media or OS is called a line of business too. It is very confusing. We will talk about the confusing terminology that you're going to have to deal with to be successful in the product management function. Beyond that, we get into a description of what we call the product management functional performance model. We will look at that a little bit later in this course. We have a approximately 100 pages, if not 78 pages, product management novel, a fictitious 1 year in the life of, I believe it's 3 product planners entering the job, and actually 2 product planners and their boss. Trying to give people a picture of all the different kinds of things that happen within the product management function. May not match what your job realities are, but overall in your business unit, transmission, switching, OS, media, etc., or the new cellular, or even the customer operations group, which is your service group, trying to define the kinds of things that the organization is trying to manage and how they're doing and what kinds of things they're doing. Then we have a kind of a do-it-yourself, map out your organization, since we can never keep track and keep up to date with how often your organizations change. We're asking you to identify all the strategic business units, all the functions that could be happening, and going out and finding out who's doing what for a living within this business unit. So you can map out your own organization so that you would understand your organization as up to date as it can be. The next module here is an attempt to help you sit down with your boss and define the specifics of your job. What is it that the boss really expects out of you? What's the calendar going to look like for the next 2 quarters? What meetings will you be attending? What are the major deliverables or outputs or reports that you would be producing in the job? What is the job? It's all in response to an overwhelming frustration and concern about what is my job. I may have been here for a year and I don't feel very comfortable with it. And the organization is in a very dynamic situation here. It's in constant flux, and sometimes the people at the product planner level are not receiving the kind of information that they need. It's just the nature of the beast. You're going through a lot of changes in the organization here. This is the downside of all of that. The next series of modules here, this first one here, actually there's only going to be 1101. This is going to be piloted in March. It's called Internal and External Influences on the Product Management Function. It gets into things such as the U.S. laws that should guide your behavior, the policies and procedures of network system, and the company instructions of AT&T that should guide your behaviors and how to do your job and how to stay out of trouble. It gets into the standard groups. It gets into the regulatory environment. So it's a source for you to identify those kinds of do's and don'ts, and mostly the don'ts, of how to operate as a product planner. There is only one module, the 1101. The others, we didn't find that there were that many differences to warrant producing separate modules for those. These will, then there's the customers and markets for each of the 4 major business units. When they began this study on this curriculum architecture, they did not address the service organization, the done organization, or customer operations. It's got several different names for basically the same group. Again, those are online. Additionally online, a thumbnail sketch of the various support organizations around the company that you need to be aware of. What is market planning? Of course, that's changed with the recent reorganization. Market operations, my client, Maddie, the group that owns the product management training organization. They own the MCO group, media, I forget what that stands for right now. Marketing Communications Group. The strategic events organization is up there in market operations. So that's one of the larger modules. It describes all those sub-functional groups within market operations that are there to support you in your job performance. Various network systems, financial organizations, and where are they, and where can you get some financial guidance and help, etc. Various Bell Labs organizations, various manufacturing organizations, the sales and sales operations organizations. Network systems engineering, installation, corporate project management, which has changed now to corporate product realization, the distribution channel planning and management, the legal organization, corporate education and training, the OSTC for those people in the OS organization, document management organization, and DDO. Little thumbnail sketches here to tell you who these people are, what they do for a living, where are they, and a name and a phone number so that if you need further information, you can contact them. The MMC organization and MPPC organization, these are the materials handling organizations. Other product line management groups, that's what the old name used to be, product line management instead of product management. The PEC groups, which are the product engineering control centers for the various business units, information research centers, Springfield operations, contract and warranty. Again, and this is not the complete list. There's about 8 new modules here that are going to be developed in the next probably 6 months. The pricing organization, other things like that, to identify who these folks are and what they're supposed to be doing with product management in particular, not just what they do in general, but what's the nature of their relationship with product management. Several other courses here that get into the telecommunications network. These are courses that exist and were in existence from CET, except for this last one. It does not exist currently. These kinds of modules are going to be developed over the next 2 years. The various product and product component overviews, those kinds of things. That leads us to this 8-day course. So you've been through all those other courses already, correct? All right. I thought I saw smiles of recognition on all your faces. Now, typically, people have not been through those in what we consider to be the prerequisites for this particular course. It shouldn't be a major problem. But they are there for your reference when you get back on the job. Yeah, this course here is intended to be a broad overview of the entire world of product management, so you understand what your piece of product management might be in relationship to the whole world of each of your business units and the product management function. The 2000 series, and we won't look at the rest of this stuff, but in the 2000 series there are a couple of key areas here. There's an advanced sales support planning and management course that's been piloted in the fall, and a advanced product support planning and management course. There's several other courses that are available within this area of the curriculum. These are the next step further into the jobs, getting closer down into the weeds of how do you actually do all of this stuff. How do you actually plan for some of the trade show events? Who do you go to? you want to hold a regional event for your local sales organizations, who helps? How do you go through that? What are the kinds of considerations and thinking processes that you need to go through? That's the intent of the next step of the modules. Yes, thank you.
What are the length of that? Is that particular course a 2400 series course?
The 2401 course on advanced product support planning and management is 3 days long. Ed Walsh went to that. He went to the pilot back in early November, first part of November. Okay, I won't go into this. You've got this. This is basically the guts of the curriculum catalog that you could order, but there's other information in this curriculum catalog, such as a training planning guide. Something for you to sit down and actually work your way through the whole planning drill to figure out what of all of this training do I need. There's approximately 110 modules in this training. Some of them, very few of them, are the equivalent of this 8 days or 5 days or 4 days. Most of them are between 5 and 15 page in length. So where there's 108 modules, it's not really massive, it's just complex. And that's to match the complexity that exists within the whole world of network systems product management. So, again, I'm Guy Wallace. I'm very depressed. I'm from Chicago. Hopefully this helped me get over the nervousness that I had when I started off this course. We began all of this development. This is the 5th session of this course besides the pilot that was done in October of '87. We did the course 4 times in '88. It's to be done 8 times this year. There's been a huge influx of brand new product planners into the switching organization and the transmission organizations in particular. The next thing I have for you is something that somehow has mysteriously disappeared from the course master materials, and we call this the module map. It outlines the 8 days and what you're going to be doing the 8 days. Basically, this morning is a big intro. I always talk this fast anyway, and if you need me to slow down, you need to give me the signal to slow down. Otherwise, I'm just going to proceed through this. We do have a lot of material to cover. That's not why I talk fast. I talk fast normally anyway. We've got a lot to get through to get you into the simulation, into this simulation of the job of running product team meetings and producing the outputs of those kinds of meetings, which are various kinds of product plans, business cases, business proposals. Those are the names of the outputs that you'll be producing as a result of going through the simulation. You'll learn all about the financials. You'll learn all about how to articulate and document on paper a plan for a product. And if you can do that for a product, you can do that for an SBU, and you could even do that for a business unit. All this is modeled after the strategic business unit guidelines that define what the organization of network systems is looking for in the plans for products and what a business case should be. In truth, none of your business units follow those guidelines too exactly, but in fact, this is as close as we can get to how all of you are doing it a little bit differently. And within a business unit, you're doing it a lot differently. We'll cover the module goals, the various kinds of administrative information, and then I'm going to have you introduce yourselves to us so that we have a feel for who's in the room, what kinds of jobs you have back in your real worlds, so that we can hopefully address that a little bit more closely. I'm with a firm called Svensson and Wallace and Maddie Van Hertbruggen. Did I say that, pronounce that right?
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Spin on the R. They are going to be observing your behaviors and monitoring your performance in these simulation exercises. We break the class here into 2 groups, 2 tables. We don't use the word teams because we use the word teams too many other places. So you'll be each at a different table, table A and table B, and they will be the people facilitating you through the simulation exercise. We'll get into the simulation exercise later on this afternoon. We have an assistant facilitator, Tom Gibson, from the financial organization. He has been his life within AT&T, an engineer at one of the factories. He was a product planner back in the old days when they first started up the whole concept of product planning within the AT&T organization. He's been a member of the corporate finance group. He worked for Charlie Brown at the time when they were talking about divestiture and trying to decide how do we break AT&T up. 5 pieces, 7 pieces, 10 pieces, what would the financials look like if we were to do those various scenarios. He's got a wealth of experience, he's got a lot of background, he's going to talk to you a lot about the essence of planning, the reasons for planning, he's going to talk about the financials and basically, hopefully, make you feel a lot better about the financial portion of the simulation exercise that we're going through. Refreshment breaks, we'll probably have some of those. We'll probably try to break around 10 o'clock and then sometimes mid-afternoon. During the simulations, you're basically on your own a lot and you'll decide when you're going to take your own breaks. The business breaks will be incorporated with those refreshment breaks, and we'll try and give you 15, 20 minutes so that if you do need to make phone calls and such. How are we receiving messages here? This is our first time at this facility, so I'm new to this.
Sorry, I should have written the page number. 404 329 4671. Fax number 404 329 4691.
Is your card after those ones?
No. Can we go pick them up or?
Do they deliver the messages to the room, or we will find out. Meals, I guess we're going next door to the building next door for lunch. Okay, in the evenings, everyone is on their own. Most people that are staying, that aren't from the local area here, are staying at the Residence Inn, and they have a lot of restaurants and things like that. And we'll probably want to get together as groups of some sort and go up for the evening meals and that.
I should mention that this building, you're having the ribbon cutting ceremony today. It's the first time it's officially open. There's going to be a lot of higher level people here, Wayne Weeks, Marks, possibly, yeah, so you'll see a lot of
The ribbon cutting for the National Sales Academy.
Yeah, they may come in and say hi, Mark.
Trying to make a big splash here with the fact that now we're going to give some real focused attention. A lot of resources are going to be aimed at providing training, formal training, much more extensive training for the sales people supporting Network Systems products. And so I've been told that sometime in the middle of the afternoon we may receive some visitors, particularly Mr. Weeks, Mr. Network Systems, for those who don't recognize the name. Anyway, that you'll be in the simulation exercises, so he'll see you working on product team meetings and doing all sorts of great things, and he'll be happy, knowing that the future is secure. Evening activities, local sites and activities, I don't know, I don't come to Atlanta that often, so hopefully those of you who are local here can clue us in on to what shall we do in the evening. Okay, as a result of this course, hopefully you will be able to describe the product life cycle phases, the phases that we articulate here, not the classic textbook product life cycle phases. We're a little bit different than they are, but you'll see the similarities if you're familiar with that. Produce a business proposal and a business case. Produce a product plan based on the SBU plan guidelines. Be able to define the key product management outputs and the associated required inputs per product life cycle phase. So how do you manage products through the life cycle? What are you supposed to be doing, or what is your organization supposed to be doing? We may be beyond and above what you're doing as your piece of the job in product planning. Produce financial analysis data and outputs. Facilitate product team meetings. Define and demonstrate various roles played by a product manager, erase the dot, for each product life cycle phases. So what do I really do? What's my job in this thing here? And you're really acting overall as part of an SBU product planner, not someone who's working at a much more focused area within product management. Hopefully you'll be able to define the typical kinds of agenda that other organizations have per product life cycle. What is sales concerned about at various points of the product life cycle? What's manufacturing concerned with at various points of the product life cycle? It's good to know that when you meet with them in your product team meetings, so you understand where are they coming from? Why are they saying the crazy things that they're saying? Why don't they want me to just, why don't they allow me to just cut their prices and their costs and all this stuff? Why do they always want more money? We'll learn the secrets here in this course. Define the product realization process, which was new when we started all of this, and is now on the road to full implementation, I understand. We will be able to describe this product management functional model and what it really means. Those who have been around in the company and in product management for a long time understand it like this. Everybody who's new is just as confusing as the job seems to be out there every day. Be able to set priorities within time constraints. We'll be able to define situation analysis for those of you who've come across that term and wondering what it really is. Define major business plan calendar events which impact product management. What's going on in the annual business planning cycle that causes us to go crazy down at my job every once in a while and go run off and do things that we don't understand. Hopefully you'll begin to see some of the relationships to the annual business planning process. Identify inputs from other organizations to the product management organization for the business plan calendar. So what's everybody else supposed to be giving you to feed this whole process? Okay, we want you to demonstrate an understanding of the strategic planning process, and a lot of this you will get out of actually doing these things in the simulation. How many of you have a fairly deep financial background? MBAs, those kinds of things? A couple. All right, we're going to spend a lot of time in financials, so we'll look to you for support for the rest of all of us who don't really understand it all. Okay, starting here with Dennis, I would like each of you to, I'm missing an overhead.
One thing you should talk about is the length of the day, the next couple of days.
Oh yes, today lasts till 6, tomorrow lasts till 6, and then the rest of the time we should be over at 5. On Friday we'll be done approximately 4 o'clock for those of you who are going to be flying back for the weekend. If your immediate boss has allowed you to do that, policy is not to do that, but it's a local decision. Some of you will see the differences. All right, there is a page here in your book that says Module Participant Introductions. It's the last page in this section before you get to the next heavier page cardboard pad. I should have an overhead for that, but it's somehow been lost.
Page up, page go up.
Yeah,
page.
Oh, it is.
You have to refresh them before you...
Oh, okay, it's number 5 there in that whole first section, okay. Maybe I really had it here then too. I'd like you to follow that and tell us a little bit about yourselves. Following that. Okay, thanks, please. Where are you from? What do you do?